Okay, so now I'm going to look at questions 4 and 5. Now these are ones where we could not do synthetic division because what we're dividing by isn't linear. This is an x squared down here. So we're going to set it up just like we did before, but on this one we also have the issue of missing terms. So I'm going to put in a placeholder of 0 in the divisor because it's missing the constant term, and then I'm just going to check on this one. I have a 2x to the 4th. I have an x to the 3rd term. Don't have a squared term, so I'm going to put in a 0x squared, but I do have the linear term and the constant. So now I've got it all set up. So the first round I'm doing on this one is 2x to the 4th divided by x squared. And so for that one, remember x to the 4th is 4 x's, x squared is just 2, so 2 of them are gone, and I'll have a 2x squared left. And then that 2x squared is going to get multiplied by x squared minus 2x plus 0, and I'll get the 2x to the 4th minus 4x to the 3rd plus 0x squared, which really is 0, but it helps to keep track of the variable part. All right? So I divided and got a 2x squared. So I'm going to put it above where the squared term is. When I multiplied, I got a 2x to the 4th minus a 4x to the 3rd, and then a 0x squared. Now I'm ready to do that subtraction step. So I'm going to change the signs. Since I'm subtracting that whole polynomial, I'm going to distribute the negative, and then I can add straight down. All right, so when I do that, I'm going to wind up at that point with the 2x to the 4th minus 2x to the 4th canceling out. Then I'm going to wind up with a 7x to the 3rd, but then I'm still just going to have a 0x squared at that point. Okay. Now I'm going to bring down my next term and then go another round. Okay. So here I need 3 terms sitting there because I'm dividing by something with 3 terms. Right, so I'm getting ready now to do 7x to the 3rd divided by x squared. When I do that, 2 of the x's cancel, so I'm going to be left with just a 7x. And when that 7x gets distributed, I'm going to wind up with 7x to the 3rd minus 14x squared plus 0x. 7x to the 3rd minus 14x squared plus 0x. Now we're at the subtraction step, so I'm going to change the signs and then combine my terms. So the first terms cancel, then I get a 14x squared, and then negative 7x plus 0x would be negative 7x. Okay. So let's bring down the next term and let's divide one more time. Now, when you do all of this, the work I've been showing over on the side, keep doing it if you find it helpful, if it helps you to get the problem right. Okay. But you can let that go when you're ready. When I did the division, I got the 7x. I really should have written it up here on top. Then multiply back and write down what you got right here. And then get ready to do one more round. So now I'm doing the 14x squared divided by x squared and getting just a 14 here. Okay. And then when I distribute that back, I would get 14x squared minus 28x plus 0. So let me change those signs and add straight down, and I wind up with 21x minus 10. Now, even though that still has an x in it, do you see how it's 21x to the first power and you're dividing by something that's to the second power? So you're through. Now you're ready to just write your answer. So your answer would be the quotient, 2x squared plus 7x plus 14, plus the remainder, which was 21x minus 10, over what you were dividing by, x squared minus 2x. So that would be our answer to this one. Okay. All right, and then I'll do one more example, and then you just need to practice it a little bit. All right, so on this one, let's set it up. 2x squared, let's see, I'm missing the x, so I'll put in a 0x plus 3. That's being divided into 10x to the 4th plus 6x to the 3rd plus 13x squared, but I'm missing the x and I'm missing the constant, okay? So I'm going to start by taking the 10x to the 4th divided by the 2x squared. So that's going to be 5x squared. And I'm going to line that up above the x squared term. Now, let me go ahead and just do the multiplying back step and write it as I do it. So 5x squared and 2x squared would be 10x to the 4th. 5x squared and 0 times 0x would be 0x to the 3rd. 5x squared times 3 would be 15x squared. All right, getting ready to subtract, so I'm going to change the signs and subtract straight down, and I wind up with 6x to the 3rd minus 2x squared. I'm going to bring down the next term, and then I'll go again. So this time I'm taking 6x to the 3rd and dividing by 2x squared, so I'm going to get a 3x. I'll write that right here, and then I'm going to distribute the 3x. I'm going to multiply it back times the 2x squared plus 0x plus 3. So I'll get my 6x squared. I'll get a 0x squared. I said x squared, it should have been cubed. I'll get a 6x to the 3rd, because it was 3x times 2x squared. Then 3x times 0x would be 0x squared, and then 3x times 3 would be 9x. I'm going to subtract by changing the signs. Doesn't really matter on the 0, but just to be consistent. Then I'm going to wind up with just negative 2x squared minus 9x. So I'll bring down the 0, and I'll have one more round to do. Got to take that negative 2x squared divided by positive 2x squared. See how you're going to just get a negative 1 when you do that? So this will be minus 1 up here. And then when I multiply through, I'll have negative 2x squared minus 0x minus 3. So when I change the signs and add, so I'm really subtracting, but I'm doing it by changing the signs and then adding, I'm going to have a negative 9x plus 3 there at the end. Now, see how that's to the first power, and I was dividing by something to the second power? That's one way of knowing you're finished. Also, notice that we're at the end, and we've gotten that constant there at the end, that minus 1. So we also know we're done for that reason. So our answer to this question would be the quotient, 5x squared, plus 3x minus 1 plus our remainder over what we were dividing by, which was 2x squared plus 3. You could still put the 0x in there if you wanted to, but you don't have to. So that would be your answer.